Hi, this is Mrs. Bro. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to solve 1 and 2-step equations. So, let's start with a more simple one. We're going to start with x plus 5 equals 8. So, when we're solving equations like these, our goal is to isolate the variable or get the variable by itself. In order to do that, we have to get rid of that 5. So, in order to get rid of the 5, we have to do the opposite operation than what's connecting it to the x. I see that the 5 is connected to the x through addition. The opposite of addition is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. Because remember that rule, whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. We can't just make the 5 disappear, it has to go somewhere. So we have to bring it to the other side. So 5 minus 5 is 0. They cancel each other out. So I'm left with x equals 8 minus 5 is 3. So x equals 3 on this one. Okay, let's go ahead and try another one. Now I'm going to have x minus 3 equals 7. So in doing this, I see the x is being connected to the 3 through subtraction. The opposite of subtraction is addition. I'm going to add 3 to each side. So negative 3 plus 3 is 0, so they're going to cancel. I'm left with x equals 7 plus 3 is 10. Okay. So that's some relatively simple addition and subtraction. Okay, next we're going to try a multiplication one. So I have 4x equals 11. And doing this, if there's no symbol in between a coefficient and the x, we understand that it is multiplication. And the opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4. I'm always dividing by that coefficient, or the number that's attached to the x, right? I'm going to divide both sides by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. So I can cancel them, and I'm left with 1x. But we don't write the 1 because it's redundant. So we just write as x. Because whenever we see x by itself, it's understood that it is 1x. Okay? And then 11 divided by 4. You could put it in your calculator and get a decimal, or you could just leave it as a fraction, which I'm going to do. Okay, so x equals 11/4. Okay, let's go ahead and try a division one. So in the next one, I have 1/2 x equals 6. So in this one, I have 1/2 times x. So looking at this, I know I have to do what? Right? I have to divide both sides by 1/2 because 1/2 is being multiplied by the x. But remember, when I divide by a fraction, it's a little bit different than when I divide by a regular number. So I'm dividing by 1/2, right? Dividing by 1/2. Remember, when I divide by 1/2, or when I divide by any fraction, I have to multiply by the reciprocal, right? So if I have 1/2 times the reciprocal of 1/2 would be 2/1. What's 1 times 2? 2. And what's 2 times 1? 2. 2 divided by 2 would just be 1. So that's where we get the x. So those would cancel, and we'd be left with x. Okay? And let's come over here and let's do 6 divided by 1/2. So it would be 6 times 2/1. And remember, it's an imaginary 1 to the 6 as well. So what's 6 times 2? It's 12. So I get 12, and then 1 times 1 is, of course, 1. So we could simplify that to just be 12. So that leaves me with x equals 12. Okay. Once you practice this a little more, it'll be easier for you to see that you can just multiply both sides by 2. Okay? But for right now, doing the whole process out is going to be the most helpful. Okay? Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and kick it up a notch. In this one, we're going to be doing some more complex simplifying. So I have 2x minus 3 equals 9. So in doing this, the first thing I want to do is look for like terms. I know that the 3 and the 9 are like terms. They're both numbers, right? Neither one of them has an x attached to it. I know I could combine the 2x with the 3 because the x is an unknown number. If we think back, we have to multiply 2 by that number before you could subtract 3 from it. So I'm going to go ahead and do opposite to both sides. I see that the 3 is being subtracted, so I'm going to add it. So I'm going to add 3 to this side and add 3 to this side. So that's going to give me 2x, right, because these cancel, equals 9 plus 3 is 12. So it gives me 2x equals 12. And then I'm going to go ahead and divide each side by 2 to get rid of that 2 out front. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, so it leaves me with x, and 12 divided by 2 is, of course, 6. So x equals 6 on that one. Okay. Let's look at another one. In this one, I have 3 times 2x plus 7 equals 27. So before I can solve anything, I want to distribute that 3, right? So I'm going to take 3 and I'm going to distribute it to the 2x as well as to the 7. I call this the rainbow method because you're like in the Skittles commercials making it rain, right? It's like a rainbow when you draw it. So I'm going to do 3 times 2x. That's going to give me 6x. And I'm going to do 3 times 7, which is going to give me positive 21. I'm just going to go ahead and bring down the 27. So 6x plus 21 equals 27. And now we're going to solve it just like normal. I'm going to start by taking the 21 and moving it over here because those are like terms. So I'm going to subtract 21 because it's being added from each side. 21 minus 21 is, of course, 0. So I have 6x equals, and then 27 minus 21 is 7 minus 1 is 6, and 2 minus 2 is 0. So it would be 6x equals 6. So now I can go ahead and divide both sides by 6, which is my coefficient. So I'm going to do 6x divided by 6, and 6 divided by 6. 6x divided by 6 is, of course, x. And 6 divided by 6 is, of course, 1. So x is equal to 1 in this case. In this next one, I'm going to practice distributing a fraction throughout my equation. So I'm going to start with 3/4 times 8x plus 12 equals 15. So whenever we multiply by a fraction, right, we're always multiplying the numerators and the denominators together. But in this case, 8 is a whole number. So remember, if 8 is a whole number, we always have the imaginary denominator of 1. So, and the same goes for 12, right? So when I'm doing this, I have to, of course, distribute 3/4 to both the 8x and to the 12. So I multiply the 3 and the 8 and the 4 and the 1. So what's 3 times 8? Well, it's 24. And then 4 times 1 is 4. So I'd have 24 over 4 times x, right? And then over here, I have 3 times 12 is 36. and then 4 times 1 is 4. So I have 36 over 4. That equals 15. So now I think I can simplify these, right? 4 goes into 24 how many times? Well, 6, right? So that'd be 6x plus 4 also goes into 36. 4 goes into 36 9 times. If you guys don't know these answers, go ahead and check with your calculator, okay? It's a tool, you can use it, you know. But I recommend trying to memorize as many of our times tables as we can. That way this becomes a little bit easier for you. So then we can look at this, and we have 6x plus 9 equals 15. So now I solve it just like normal. I'm going to subtract 9 from each side. That's going to give me 6x, 9 minus 9 cancels, equals 15 minus 9 is, of course, 6. Oh, this one's very similar to the last one, huh? So 6x equals 6. I'm going to divide each side by 6. 6x divided by 6 is x, and 6 divided by 6 is 1. So I have x equals 1 for that one.